What is the sacred question? And why is it the sacred question and not the sacred answers? This will be our topic in today's episode of the Maverick Mystic Arts Podcast. So this is also a bit of a homage to Tom Brown Jr., the tracker, who I did a few courses with, maybe 16, 17 years ago, something like that. And he had a lot of very interesting philosophies when it came to spiritual philosophy, some decent spiritual skill, and this is probably the cornerstone of his spiritual system, is the sacred question. So when it comes to spiritual practices and development, in the beginning it's very, very easy to get stuck in the seeking of answers. And what we are attempting to do is to stabilize our insecurity again and again and again in one way or another. And every time we do this, every time we find something to stabilize, to lean against, we inhibit our ability to continue growing and evolving. And we also run the risk of cultivating a cult around whatever we've stabilized. Whether we become the center of the cult or whether we fall in to the cult that someone else is the center of, both of those things can happen. We're looking for stability, we end up in a cult, right? And this is part of why community is such a dangerous thing on the spiritual path, is because it can massively inhibit our growth. Now, the sacred question, and again, why is it sacred, is because it has nothing to do with the answer. Questions provide direction, right? The question, our deepest layer of development, whatever our highest refinement might be, there is a usually subconscious question that is guiding us at each stage. And the expanse that our question allows us to explore is typically reflective of our development in the view teachings of the spiritual path. And that would be why the question is sacred. So this has also nothing to do with the specified question, the question that we know that we're asking, right? There's also questions we don't know that we're asking. That's a little bit more important to uncover, because that will be holding much of our black and white mirror stagnations in their current form. So to explore questions allows us to unlock these. And every time we think we have an answer to a question, we have become stuck. And this can be as nefarious as the answer to the question being, it's everything, it's nothing, it's mind exploring itself, it's, the universe exploring itself. And, we get into these philosophical things, and things that I say here, if they're not experienced from the level of deep practice, such as, the infinite perceiving itself and the perceptual, light awareness that is produced from that, if that's not experienced from deep meditation, it's just another thing that we attach to. And as soon as we have a known, this is what blah, blah, blah is, as soon as that deepest curiosity, as soon as we think we have an answer, now the life of the question is dead, right? Which is the question, the quest being the living unfoldment of experience itself, right? And that dance that occurs, that is this life and this flow of energy at many different layers and refinements of consciousness, etc. So when we're working with the sacred question, and if we are always returning to the sacred question, which has nothing to do with the specifics of the question, this allows us to sustain the ever-moving, flowing, living component of the path, right? The spiritual path it's a living, breathing, dynamic thing. It's not dead. And every time, for the duration, we are leaning on an answer, it's dead, right? And that pillar that we're leaning on, that answer that we're leaning on, that source of stability for the identity, for however long we're leaning on it, right? Whatever that answer is, during that time, it's dead, right? And it's a lot more comfortable to do dead practice than it is to do live practice. Live practice requires each and every moment be penetrated fully, completely, be surrendered to is the wrong word because it implies a duality, but more of a recognition or a realization each and every moment of experience as of the infinite, which is this. So this can be applied to working within the body, right? Recognizing the flow and function of the body, of the mind, of the emotions, whatever you're looking at kind of in your own sphere as its infinite essence. Or it can be anything outside of this, your sphere as well, right? This is the question, or the quest in perpetuity, we might say. It's a continuum of quest that is never ceasing, and it takes you to the moment of flux from the infinite essence through the light production, through the akashic like co-emergence and unification, in through the ethers and that causal dynamic dance that is the etheric duality playing itself out in a totally potentialized, amorphous way. From there you get the bubbling forth of the elements through the electromagnetic fluids or through the dual natures and into form itself, etc. So the sacred question, it is sacred because it takes you back to the source. It is not sacred because it has to do with any answer you might get or any skill that might arise or any other aspect of phenomena of experience. It is sacred because it takes us to that which is sacred, which is that sacred silence underlying all of the dual expressions, underlying the consciousness where light identifies with itself, underlying any sense of self, any sense of identity, any sense of I am a thing, any sense of I am that we think of as all-pervasive sometimes in some spiritual communities. Let go of the am, right? Underneath any I that is more penetrating than any amming or a thing that is amming. There is that I consciousness. Underneath that, consciousness is a binding factor, right? So the quest, once again, the question has nothing really to do with specifics of any answer. It has to do with the living aspect of the practice that is forever at play. And it can be a very painful type of experience, simultaneously a very blissful type of experience, to stay within the what was the word I used? When you're leaning on a thing, the non-stability, the absence of stability from a dual perspective, right? There is the ultimate stability that exists from the non-dual perspective, which isn't stable in the sense that we think it of. It's just the truth, essentially. What is simply is. And the question allows us to, again, why it's sacred, it's like a vacuum that can take us to the essence of the essence of the essence, where everything is simply seen for what it is, absent of the myriad of, impositions of perception, of thought, of past and future, the present, etc., that we often throw at everything. So very important to look at the sacred question, to look at what are the answers that we lean on in the path, what are the points of stability that we are using to prop up our identity, our ego, right across the board. So this might not be, specifically what Tom Brown was talking about when he spoke the words, the sacred question. And I did only a few weeks of courses with him way back in the day. But as the spiritual path has unfolded for me over the years, I found this to be of great importance. It also allows for the exploration of information, of knowledge, of skills of any kind, knowledge of any kind, that and through this exploration, we can start to learn that whatever we're exploring, that quest and that skill, for him in that tradition, lots of wilderness survival, tracking, etc. What's this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? Looking for answers. But if we let go of all the answers, we simply have the attentiveness that is of the quest, that pure awareness, which can take us, boom, right to the essence of stuff. And it's like we said, a continuum. You're spiraling through that vortex, getting closer. So again, might not be what he was referring to specifically, but I think that this offers a lot of value in meditation and exploration of what a question is, what a long, expansive question is, these arcs of questions that take us through short periods of time, take us through long periods of time, that take us along the spiritual path, and how we can evolve through and beyond any question of specific parameters into the essence of the quest, the question, the quest itself. All right, that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed this. If you're interested in training, please check out the website. You can find it in the description. There are courses on the website as well as information about upcoming retreats and workshops. So hopefully we'll see you at one of those. All right, thanks a lot. Hope you enjoyed this. Have fun, practice. Bye.